Hi, I'm Torte Lini. Here's the meta news report for patch 7.35D. Hero guides are updated again for the 376th time with 150 changes, a smaller adjustment compared to the 929 changes made in February. Let's check in on the meta weather for the top carries to play so far in patch 7.35D. All roads lead back to Lifestealer, previously one of the best carries in 7.35C, and in 7.35D, they gave Lifestealer a bunch of nerfs to make him a bit harder to succeed with right now. As you can see though, he'll probably succeed very well. He moves a bit slower during rage, can't reach enemies from afar with the accepted version of his infest, and open wounds cast range has been lowered. For now, he's still pretty much one of the most played carries because, as I said on my Torte Lini 2 channel, he's a mid-game fighting hero that is favorable versus a lot of early game enemy offlane matchups like Mars or Centaur Runrunner, and counters previously rivaling carries like Sven, who's pretty much gone extinct because of Lifestealer. He's pretty much contrary to how you'd see a Slark or maybe an Anti-Mage take a fight. Lifestealer kind of cuts right through all the jumping around and just looks to stall until the enemies are dead. If you aren't familiar with his current build, I've updated it to align with the radius popularity of the hero, buffed in 7.35C. So his build looks like phase boots, armlet, radiance as per usual, into Sanjay and Yasha with Ag Shard, Scepter, and Black King Bar if you want. What's great about Lifestealer is that he builds into a lot of defenses that other heroes can't really compensate for, like 1, status resistance with Sanji, and 2, evasion with a mischance from Radiance. 3, lifesteal that is amplified through Sanji and your Ag Shard open wounds. Magic resistance and debuff immunity with Rage and Black King Bar. You also have a disengage tool with Infest, which, by the way, also transforms into a disarm against enemy carries through BKB with your Ag Scepter upgrade. All that said, with Lifestealer making 7.35C's King Sven go extinct, it gives rise to new carries and some familiar faces like Faceless Void. Faceless Void, he's the purple's ass that still prevails. If you want to counter Lifestealer, just stop him in his tracks with a Chronosphere and kill him. Faceless Void continues to be the end-all be-all position 1 carries in the 7.35 patch arc. Granted, his laning stage has become much more difficult over the past few months as popular offlanes continue to dominate lanes that aren't Sven or Lifestealer, but he makes up for that with a decent farming pattern thanks to Mask of Madness and his usual Maelstrom, though Maelstrom has also been nerfed in 7.35D, as well as Faceless Void's time dilation at level 1 up. So in recent patches, the developers have been definitely making Faceless Void less of a stable laner and more challengingly less effective in the mid game when farming or seeking kills, which has definitely dinged the reliability of picking Faceless Void against any draft. That said, he's still a really good initiator, has inherent mixed damage output thanks to Time Bash, dealing magical damage, and his item build is relatively simple to build thanks to Mask of Madness being pretty straightforward, Maelstrom, and then of course you pick up a Black King Bar into Mjolnir. You can still buy, Manta Style on Faceless Void if you need it, and the fact that Manta Style is still viable on Faceless Void makes him all the more top tier, right? It's another dispel that makes it difficult to lock the hero down outside of BKB, especially since he also has Time Walk, which you just keep seeing him spam here. Lastly, unlike say Sven or Luna, Faceless Void thrives even more if the matches go late, giving your team some reassurance you can still win even if the match starts to stall. A new challenger approaches, it's Morphling. Morphling has been swimming around as a contender for top carrier for a small while now, and with Lifestealer holding the crown, Morphling at least is in the same realm as a competitor. Morphling's actually a great response for Lifestealer because Morphling has low health, high armor. It basically negates Lifestealer's feast, which is based on max health of his opponent, and then the high armor also negates the physical damage output that Lifestealer is mostly dealing with outside of Radiance. What's more is Morphling can use his ultimate ability Morph to copy and use the abilities against Lifestealer, right? So Morphling can grab Lifestealer's Rage so he can consistently output without being interrupted. He also gets the Feast, which he can use it on the high strength carry hero Lifestealer. On top of that, Morphling still has his ranged attacks and he still has Waveform to help play around and kind of kite Lifestealer. Lifestealer also hates dealing with Orchid, which is pretty annoying for him because it prevents him from casting Rage. And Orchid's a pretty comfortable item for Morph to pick up because that prevents him from having to deal around with a chasing Lifestealer, so to speak. So all in all, a Lifestealer continues to top the carry leaderboards, but so does this give rise to Morphling's popularity to shut him down. In terms of build, I've changed Morphling to no longer require Vladimir's Offering in the item build, and instead I have you build up Wraithband early game. I've slotted in the Bloodthorn as an extension item option, specifically for Lifestealer, as well as just being an overall great item with True Strike. Don't forget that Conda is still one of the best items for Morphling, given that he attribute shifts himself to have monster damage, which is then front-loaded as a nuke with your Adaptive Strike damage spell. Yep, Luna 2 is still around and popular too. She's another mid-game agi carry that wants to end the game when she finishes all her items. Mask of Madness, Manta Style, Black King Bar, Conda. Once Luna has all those items, she needs to make a complete U-turn from farmer to team fighter and push down objectives with each successful team fight. If not, the enemy team will then likely overtake the match, and then you're in deep trouble. Lini stage may be pretty weak, but as we know with Moonglaives, she bounces pretty back fast, especially in the jungle, and if your supports are stacky jungle camps. Not at my level, at least. The only thing I've changed for her build is moving Agshard to be a core pickup, as a lot of melee gap closing heroes are getting incredibly popular these days. And while I still recommend Hurricane Pike later on in her build, Agshard is still a necessary item to pick up, and it provides pretty great benefits when farming too. So pick it up pretty early, even in Dragonlance if you want to. Another all-time Hall of Famer carry for your pub matches, Slark. Super annoying hero, still very popular. The hero hasn't changed whatsoever for the past few patches and continues to be a nightmare for all heroes around. He still brings a lot of maneuverability, disjointing, dispel, thanks to Ag Scepter, Dark Pact, Depth Shroud, Black King Bar, and Disperser. The hero is just super annoying, I keep saying it, to deal with once he gets past a brutal laning stage. The emergence of heroes like Lifestealer or Sven are not really issues for him, as he can build Orchid instead of Mage Slayer for Lifestealer, and then Eye of Skadi for any man fighting Satanic or Lifesteal based heroes that want to take him on. So really, honestly, the hero is very flexible on what he can and wants to build, but more importantly, he's just very annoying and very hard to keep locked down while he continuously gets more agi, more output in terms of attack speed, damage, and also armor, and thus can survive for a pretty long and sustainably annoying time. Okay, one more. Troll Warlord. Though he's kind of countered by Lifestealer Ags, the Scepter at least upgraded Infest. Troll is still a great pickup because it's a great item path that can handle most enemy types, the standard Battle Fury, SNY, and BKB, or you can go the Maelstrom Shard with BKB as well. Or you can actually honestly mix the two up. You can go Battle Fury and Maelstrom Mjolnir. Though to note that Maelstrom did get nerfed, as well as Troll's Ag Shard. They've been nerfed this patch, and lately we've been seeing a lot of people kind of opt for Satanic after their core items instead. That said, overall, still a great hero that just tries to fight past all the maneuverability bullshit of other heroes and tear them down while he has the momentum of Fervor and ensnare from his Berserker's Rage. Not to mention Whirling Axes pretty much forces enemy melee heroes to have Black King Bar or at least a Dispel so they don't miss their attacks. Since Troll's laning stage is pretty good compared to some other heroes, and with Whirling Axes he can farm decently as well after the laning stage. He's definitely been a noteworthy carry to play this patch, despite the nerfs and counters popularity. Lastly, Anti-Mage. He's just an all-around reliable carry pick, assuming your team can actually get to the point where Anti-Mage is online and ready to go. With games leaning more and more towards mid-game fights and a lot of rivaling carries like Luna or Sven wanting to push for a key timing to the end of the game, Anti-Mage can kind of stick out like a sore thumb, where he's forced to fight at times where he still needs to keep his head down to farm. Not to mention that Anti-Mage is all physical damage, so just a heads up on picking him if you're going up against an armor-heavy lineup. Aghanim Scepter is still a beloved item for him, softening team fights for him, baiting responses from the enemy team, as well as spot farming risky jungle camps when you don't feel safe blinking to them or your manta units are preoccupied elsewhere. Okay, lightning round. Here's a couple of heroes that we're seeing little sprouts of opportunity that may become even more popular as the patch develops. The first one being Medusa, for example, is showing signs of growing popularity as she has a great range to kite back and outmaneuver Lifestealer, who has trouble reaching her with Infest. Her Ag Shard does great against single target abilities, especially with the popularity of Conda. Not to mention that her Ag Scepter helps keep foes in place outside of her ultimate ability, which does not care if you have Black King Bar, Rage, or any kind of dispels or debuff immunity. Under the right, I guess, kind of draft, I guess we'll call it Hornet's Nest, really, that the draft that you're looking for is where your team plays around Medusa. She could be a great pickup against a lot of run-at-you enemy lineups, so to speak. Another great one that I really think is going to be strong here. Monkey King is a hero I've been keeping my eye for the longest time, really. His laning stage is still a menace now with the popularity of Obo Corrosion against popular tanky melee offlaners. And despite Maelstrom nerfs, his versatility and item builds from Gleipnir to Battle Fury gives him a lot of flexibility depending on the enemy draft. What's even better is that flexibility gives him any kind of fighting tempo you want, from early game ganks and fights to a more focused farmer. As mentioned, the meta is having these super long-winded mid-game fights, and Monkey King not only has a long AoE zoning ultimate ability, but items like Ag Scepter punishes opponents that try to kind of man fight him, evidently, the longer those fights go. So, really interesting hero. So that's it for me. I'm Torte Lini. More videos every week here and on my Torte Lini 2 channel. Also catch me on Twitch, continuing to test all your favorite builds every day. Hero build changes are not final and will be evolving as the meta develops. Check in game for the latest versions. And don't forget to support me by subscribing, liking, giving me money, all that shit. Bye.